I come to you today with a topic of which has no conclusion and of which I do not have an opinion. But I want to lay the groundwork because I'm forming an opinion. And it's going to take some group thought and some time. And I want you guys to weigh in. But get ready for something that's coming. Okay, let me back up. A number of months ago, PFL, Professional Fight League, did a show in New York. And they had a heavyweight fight. I don't know what fighter A and fighter B weighed, but they were separated by X amount of pounds, of which I believe was more than 40. I could be wrong and it's only 20, but I don't think so. I believe it was 40 pounds. And New York goes, no, these guys can't fight. And PFL goes, what are you talking about? They're both in the heavyweight division. And New York says, oh, we have a rule. Nobody can be separated by 40 pounds. These guys have a greater than 40-pound separation. The fight's off. PFL simply did not know that rule. I was in the boat with PFL. I didn't know that rule either. It was in black and white, but I didn't know that rule. I don't think that's ever been tested. I don't know if any other state has it. I don't know. I just don't know. We all learned this together, but they lost a fight because of it. Okay. So we all kind of thought, well, that's a New York rule. You stay out of New York, you're not gonna deal with that. Oregon, getting ready to put on a fight up here in May. And my partner who did the matchmaking, was on the phone with our executive director, and they were saying, look, these guys are separated too far in weight. Now that put us in a weird spot. We're going, but this is the division. We didn't make the divisions. The division says, at least in Oregon, same as New York, 206 pounds to 265 pounds. That's the division. But our executive director took a moment. She said, hey, we don't have this rule yet. I'm just letting you know I don't like it. I like the rule, even though it isn't one of ours. But I'm letting you also know to prepare yourself because the unified rules are going to change and we are going to adopt them. So be ready for this in the future. Okay, great. No harm, no foul. I'm just sharing with you guys. Again, no opinion, no anger of, and no support of on my part. But I do think there's a dialogue and I do think there's going to be a pushback if this becomes a unified rule. Because now listen to what I'm saying. If it's a unified rule and it gets adopted by everybody, where are you going to have guys fight? I mean, if you pick a division, you, the commissioners, pick divisions, you pick the weights, you decide there's a 265-pound cap, you decide who can be in that, then you get two guys within the window that you picked, but now you're saying they're too far separate. Interesting conversation. It would seem to me you now need to make another division. 220 to 265 becomes heavyweight, and 205 to 220 becomes something else. Maybe. Is that really my opinion? I don't know. That just came out of my mouth, but that would seem like a possible fix. There's just been some really great fights over time where if I was to historically tell you what some guys weighed and the separation of their opponents, the smaller guy won. I mean, here I'll go with Kurt Angle by example. And this isn't my argument, I'm just sharing something with you. Kurt Angle became nationally recognized by winning the NCAA Division I tournament at heavyweight, but he only weighed 207 pounds when he did it. Now, the next closest weight at that time was 190 pounds. And the way Kurt was built, all muscle, he's going, man, I don't want to peel off 17 pounds of muscle. I'd rather go deal with these big guys. That was his choice. At the time Kurt did it, by the way, the limit under the NCAA rules was 285 pounds. So now you're talking about 78 pounds difference should he run into an opponent that met the limit. That's wrestling. That's NCAA. That isn't totally apples to apples here, but it's a great athlete, and it's a name that you guys would recognize. When you look at Mike Tyson, 220 pounds in his prime. I don't know of anybody he fought that weighed 280 or 290. But I trust that he did, and I trust that as long as they could make the limit and were within that division, that there was no reason that we should question that. I know that Muhammad Ali was a very, very small heavyweight, and I couldn't cite for you what he was when he won a heavyweight championship in boxing, but I can cite for you what he weighed in the Olympic Games when he won the gold medal. He was 198 pounds. I know Muhammad Ali boxed professionally at 202 pounds. I don't know in the Knights of Forum and Ken Norton and some of those those really Frazier and some of those really big fights. Maybe he gained some weight over time too. But the point is, there's a history behind this. There is a lot of guys that fit into that division, but they're a lot smaller. If you were to look at top heavyweights now, Daniel Cormier right around that 240 range, a little north of it for the Derek Lewis fight. Stipe just south of the 240 range. Verdum just south. Both those guys usually weighing about 239. Cain Velasquez 240 on the dot. If you were to move the heavyweight limit to the way that it used to be, back up to 285, boom, you got a 45-pound separation right there when you bring in guys. Brock Lesnar comes to mind. Mark Hunt comes to mind. Alistair Overeem comes to mind. Some of those big guys that fit the limit. I just think there's a discussion here. And I'm not upset. I'm not digging my heels in. But I am a little bit in the boat already of, hey, if you pick the divisions, if you decided what the weight can be, I don't know that you could then have a discrepancy within that division. There's something on the books right now. I'm not citing for this for you guys perfectly. If it is perfect, then I got lucky. But there's something about you can't change two divisions. So let me explain this to you. I weigh 135 pounds. 135 pounds happens to be a division, so that would qualify me for that division. I cannot pass over 145 pounds and go fight at 155. I can't get on the scale for a 155-pound fight at 135, two divisions below, and then go, yeah, great, I made weight. Weight's 155, I weigh less than 155, let's fight. There's a rule there about skipping a division and going up two divisions. So there is a precedence here. They're not totally in left field. It would just seem to me if you pick the division, you being the commissions, if you pick the division and you say it's this weight to this weight and guys fall within that, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for me to then see that guys couldn't compete. Because what do you do, right? What do you do? If you want to go out 40 pounds is too much, go right ahead. But what do you do with a Kurt Angle or a Muhammad Ali that is barely that weight class, just above the previous one, for whatever reason, wanted to fight Evander Holyfield when he moved to heavyweight? Quite frankly, he was a very small heavyweight. Even all juiced up, he was still a small heavyweight. Yeah, I said it. But here's the thing about that. If you have the best guys in the world and they want to go contest for a world championship and somebody holding that crown is greater than those 40 pounds and it becomes a unified rule. I mean, look, if it's a New York rule, just to use New York by example, okay, great, have the fight. Just do it in Dallas or do it in California or do it up here in Oregon. Do it anywhere else but New York. Well, not so fast. If it becomes a unified rule, Kurt Angle doesn't get to compete. Muhammad Ali wouldn't get to compete if the champion was greater than that weight. So now champions start to get protected. Champions start to come in and just go, okay, I don't have to worry about any of these fast guys. I don't have to worry about any of these cardio guys. I weigh 265. Nobody gets to get in here that weighs 225, which is a relevant weight because it's what Randy Couture happened to weigh when he won the World Heavyweight Championship. Actually weighed 222. It's 3 pounds more than Randy weighed. This isn't a story to favor the lighter guys. I know I bring that to you guys a lot as a commentary. It's really not where I'm going with this, but if you do have one of those lighter guys and they want to be world champion, but the top contender weighs 270, 260, be a better example since 265 is the current limit. He weighs 260. All of a sudden he doesn't get to fight the top contender. He's in the division that was set, that was laid out, but he doesn't get to fight he doesn't get his opportunity. I just think there's a little bit of a discussion there, for sure. For sure there's a discussion there. And if you're a promoter, where are you going to put the fight?